Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. There is something I completely forgot to do, and I typically do it the week before or the week of Halloween, and I've not done it yet, and that is planting all of my garlic. So super easy thing, it's like the easiest thing to do in the vegetable garden. You literally, it's like one of those set it and forget it types of things. So you just plant it, forget about it for the whole winter, and then all of a sudden you've got green shoots coming up in the springtime. It's literally that easy. But the challenge here is I've waited quite a long time, and it's probably going to be fine. And typically, I'm like water. I like the path of least resistance, and I really like things to be as easy as possible. Planting garlic is really simple, and I've done several videos on that. I've written about it on the blog, but I've never done it this late, and I'm a little concerned about the cloves not setting roots fast enough with the soil temperatures dropping. We've got a beautiful day today, so I am going to get it planted today, but I'm going to do something a little different. Never did it before, and all because I'm hoping that it will trigger some root development sooner than later, because we have such, I'm cutting it kind of close as far as getting these things in the ground so that they can get situated long enough to actually get established. So what I'm going to do, first off, I got my garlic from Keene Garlic, and I've ordered from them for a number of years. And hold on a second. All right, so in the Keene Garlic brochure, so they are garlic grower, garlic purveyors in Wisconsin, and they have organic lines of garlic and non-organic lines of garlic. I order from their organic line, and I always order a variety called Music. It's my favorite, and this year for some reason they were just spicier this year than last year. But anyway, all that aside, in the brochure, in the package, my garlic shipment, there was a brochure from Keene, and they have a recommendation in here or not really a recommendation, but an explanation for what they do. You can hit on this QR code, I guess you'd call it, right? And then it'll take you to their website where they explain their whole process of sterilization. So they're sterilizing the garlic cloves, and then they're sitting them in a fertilizer solution. They're letting the cloves sit in that fertilizer solution. So 10 minutes in the sterilizer, 30 minutes, at least 30 minutes, up to 3 days for the fertilizer solution. So I'm going to do that process simply because I'm hoping that will help my garlic cloves set roots sooner. I always order the jumbo garlic bulbs from Keene. The rule of thumb is the bigger the clove, the bigger your entire garlic head will be when it comes to harvest time. So these are really good size cloves. So this is a variety, like I said, Music hardneck garlic. And all I'm going to do is I peeled them off. I didn't peel the skins off of them. I left those intact. And I'm just going to submerge these in. You can do one of three things. You can do 70% isopropyl rubbing alcohol. You can do a 3% hydrogen peroxide. You could do a cheap vodka. And you don't want to dilute any of those. So you're just going to pour it in. Where's my, I have enough hydrogen peroxide. That's what I'm using. I didn't have enough rubbing alcohol, and I didn't have any vodka on me. So I'm just going to do the hydrogen peroxide, and I'm just going to pour it in on the cloves that I've separated. And that's to sterilize the cloves and get anything on there that shouldn't be on there that might inhibit them from growing successfully in the garden. And I'm just going to let them sit in there for 10 minutes and then move on to the next step. While these guys soak, I'm going to prepare my fertilizer solution, which is nothing more than you can put it in a bowl, whatever container you have. I just cut the top off of a water jug. And you're going to take a teaspoon, so a gallon of water, and a teaspoon of baking soda. And then the fertilizer I'm using is Super Thrive. And it's good for organic gardeners like me. It's what I have on hand. So, but if you have like fish emulsion or kelp fertilizer, whatever you have on hand will work. You just want to follow your package instructions. So this is 4 tablespoons per gallon? Yeah. So to this, I'm just going to add 4 tablespoons of the Super Thrive. smells lovely. Oh, we're ready to go. The cloves have been soaking for 10 minutes, and now it's time to transition them to my fertilizer solution. You don't have to start fresh with new, whatever your sterilizer is, whether it's isopropyl rubbing alcohol, the peroxide, or the vodka. You can keep reusing it over and over again, depending on how many cloves you have. So for this, I just have this one batch, and I'm going to transition the sterilized cloves into my fertilizer soak. Once they're in your fertilizer soak, you want to give it at least 30 minutes to absorb all those nutrients. You can leave these in your fertilizer soak for up to 3 days. And by the 3rd day, Keene says they find that a lot of their cloves have sprung roots. So you want to be careful if they've got roots, they're very delicate. So I'm not going to wait that long. I am going to give these 30 minutes, and then we're going to go out to the garden and get them planted. Before I plant my garlic cloves, I like to amend the soil. So to do that, first I'm just clearing out any large roots. Oftentimes I'll leave, like if I have sunflowers in here or anything else really, I just cut it down at the base and will leave those roots in the soil to decompose and feed the soil. But for this situation where I need some workable soil, I like to pull out any of those larger root systems and get rid of it. And then I also like to top the bed off with some fresh compost, because after a long growing season, the nutrients in the bed are depleted, so some fresh compost on top really makes for a healthier bed. So I'm going to just clear the space and then drop in. I only have 2 bags of compost left, so that's what's going in the bed, and then we'll be ready to plant. I like to go in with a little bulb tone too. And you can work it into the individual planting hole, but I find that it's just a lot easier just to top dress and work it into the soil that way. My bulbs have been soaking for about an hour while I was preparing my garlic bed, and now I'm ready to plant. Now for my rows, I'm just using what's called a dibber. I like nice straight rows, and I'm kind of working around a blueberry bush and some leeks and a raspberry bush, so I'm going to squeeze it right in here, and I like my nice straight rows. So if your soil is really nice and workable and you've prepped it, it should be very easy to press your cloves into the ground, and you only want to press them in about 2 to 3 inches. So what you're doing when you're pressing down is you're measuring your distance from the root plate, which is the very base of your clove. So a lot of times you can just press them down by hand with your thumb and push them in if your soil is really nice. And for this, I'm spacing them every 6 inches because I've experimented with planting distances, and when you grow in a small space, you're always trying, well, at least I am, I'm always trying to cram as much as I possibly can in my raised beds. But the problem with that is, with garlic, I've tried planting them at 4-inch spacing. They were significantly smaller than when I planted them at 6-inch spacing. So for this, I'm gonna plant them every 6 inches. And a good way to measure that, if you don't have a measuring tape, is using the hang loose sign. So usually about from your thumb to your pinky finger, when you're like that, is about 6 inches. And I space my corn that way too. So you can just measure about every 6 inches is where you're going to put one of your cloves. And I'll go and push them all in once I have everything in place so I don't forget where I left off. And then 6 inches from this one. And lastly, watering them in. And that's all there's to it. Garlic is probably the easiest thing to grow in a vegetable garden. You literally just plant it in the fall and you totally forget about it. Well, not completely, because my next step with garlic is I'll let the sun warm it up until around Christmas time. And then around Christmas, I come in with several inches, about 3 to 4 inches of leaves, and then I top dress with leaves. And all that does is help to regulate extreme soil temperature fluctuations and leave the leaves intact, and then start pulling them back when I start seeing green growth in the springtime. Start pulling back some of those leaves and letting the sun get to it, warm them up, and hopefully that fertilizer soak will have gotten them ready and healthy, and they'll look great next year. So, but we won't know. Everything in the garden is a giant experiment every single year, and when you think you've got something figured out, something always goes wrong. So that's at least been my experience. That's kind of gardening in general. But yeah, that's my next step, is just mulching them with leaves around Christmas time. And check out, these are American flag leeks, and they're beautiful. And the cool thing about leeks is you harvest them as you need them. And I'm in a cold climate, so 6A, and I can leave these in the ground into the winter time. I usually have them all harvested before it gets really, really cold, but and I've never really experimented with carrying them all the way through the winter, but they say you can mulch these as well as in the wintertime, and they will carry through and be fine. Usually we eat them all up in like potato leek soup and with roasts and all those things long before it gets too cold. But this is a long season one. There are leeks that mature in 60 days. This one matures about 130 days. So this is a long one. Started these guys from seed indoors in a single tray, had a lot of them, and then separated them and planted them very deep. So I would get these beautiful long shaft, white, the shaft part is which is the edible part. So I'll be digging up a few of these for potato leek soup very, very soon. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.